A fictional novel will fall flat if you don't add conversation and dialogue between the characters. But that sentiment doesn't hold true when you're writing a family history. In today's episode of Harsh Family History Writing Advice, I'm going to encourage you not to put words into your ancestor's mouth. Welcome to Family History Fanatics, where we help you understand your DNA, climb your family tree, and write your ancestors' stories along the way. Now, novels do require dialogue. Can you imagine Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy not having conversations? I mean, they did have letters, but without them communicating, you can't really see where the pride and the prejudice take place. But you don't necessarily need dialogue in your ancestors' stories in order for them to be non-boring. But chances are you're afraid to write dialogue because you don't want to get it wrong. Listen to your fears. Listen to your fears. There's a reason why you're like, no, I can't write dialogue because I don't have any gift or talent for that. Listen to your fears, please. There is a reason your gut is telling you that writing conversations when you haven't witnessed them or you don't have an audio recording of it is problematic. So the first reason is chances are you're not going to get the tone right. Will you have an ancestor that uses phrase like, right up the kitchen, and I just love the snot out of them, or tarnations? Okay, I grew up in Texas. I know lots of hick slang terms. But from wherever you are around the world, would you know the tone that those people had? Probably not. My great-grandfather, Robert Victor Zumstein, he was a Canadian who went to Iowa and Michigan and Ohio, and was a professor in physics. He was extremely educated. But did you know he also served in World War II? And did you know he also spoke German, and that was his assignment? So what was his tone? A mix of Canadian, English, and German mixed together. He's now in the United States. Do you see what I mean? You're not necessarily going to get his tone right. Did you know if your ancestors stuttered or used a lot of filler words or spoke very monotone and very quietly? If you heard that, great. If you didn't, you get the idea. You're probably not going to get the tone right, so avoid it. You're also feeling that gut instinct to not write dialogue because you know what you write will skew the perspective that your readers, which are likely your family members, will have for that ancestor. So if you're not really good at writing conversations, if you don't really know what their true mannerisms would have been, then you need to use extreme caution when giving your ancestors a conversation that they likely never had. Some of the things that you can do unintentionally or intentionally is make your ancestor more ignorant or educated, racist or accepting, or witty or downright dull because of the conversation and the dialogue you write. I would err on the side of just let it be and not include dialogue than include dialogue and mislead your readers. Now I have to laugh. Do you realize that once you start adding dialogue, that your readers will likely start quoting what great grandpa said? And if they never said it, yeah, just think about that. If you have video recordings, if you have audio recordings, if you heard the conversation or you're retelling someone's recollection of a conversation, these are called recalled conversations, and you can include them. Just remember to give clue words to your reader that this is a recalled conversation. So add things like, I think he said, or the way I remember it, something like that. leading us to the conversation that takes place, because in so doing, your readers are going to give you grace and forgiveness if you misremember how something was actually said. But you will likely remember the tone and the pacing, the stuttering, the racism, the sweet, loving little grandma that you had. And you'll be able to capture that essence in the conversations that you remember. But do us all a favor. Don't try to correct somebody's grammar or the way they spoke. Yeah, again, I'm from Texas, and I know a lot of people say, I'm fixing to get the tire off the truck. You got to write that. If you're going to remember a conversation, remember how people actually spoke. Now, if you're going to extract conversations out of letters and journals and diaries and things of that nature, go ahead and again use key words, because how many of us really speak the way we write? Now, I did have somebody say that in my book, From Metal to Rhinestones, A Quest for the Crown, that I write very similar to the way I speak, more casual and fun and things of that nature. But chances are we're more formal in the way we write. Now, I know some of you are on the conversation and dialogue is the only thing that makes a family history story great. Well, then call it something different. In this book by Jeanette Rawls, I like what she had to say about the stories of her grandmother. I don't have the words from Lily herself, and since I also have drawn on my imagination to fill in the details, notice she's using her imagination, that are hazy and missing, I've changed a few names to protect people's privacy. The only thing that's honest to do is to call her family story a novel. So if you're going to write family histories and leave the created dialogues out. If you're going to write a family novel, then make sure you let us know in the prologue or the introduction or wherever, as we're beginning to read, that you've written a novel. If you enjoyed these tips, be sure to check out our playlist on how to write better family histories. And if you want to see our latest video, check this playlist right here. But before you go to the description so you can get our free guide to the 5 steps to quickly write about your ancestor.